Imagine a man whose name alone could make entire cities surrender before a single arrow was fired. A man who built the largest empire in human history, not with kindness or diplomacy, but with pure, calculated terror. His enemies didn't just lose battles. They lost their future. His name was Genghis Khan. And if you think you know what cruelty looks like, think again. Born on the cold Mongolian steppe as Temujin, he wasn't born powerful. He was born hungry, abandoned, and betrayed. His father was murdered when he was a boy. His tribe left him to die, and his family survived on wild roots and scraps of food. That kind of life doesn't create an ordinary man. It creates something else, something ruthless, something unstoppable. When Temujin grew up, he made a silent promise to himself. No one would ever control him again. That promise became his purpose, and his purpose became fear. Every village that mocked him, every tribe that betrayed him, he erased them from the map. You think your breakup was bad? Try losing your entire tribe before you turn 16. The boy became the Khan became the storm, and as his power grew, so did his hunger for control. Not just over land, but over people, their lives, and their families. Because for Genghis Khan, victory didn't end on the battlefield. It began in the homes of his enemies. What he did to their wives would leave the world trembling. Before the world feared him, Temujin learned what fear really was. He wasn't born in a palace, he was born in chaos. His childhood was filled with betrayal, starvation, and loss. At one point, he was even captured and enslaved by a rival tribe. With a wooden collar around his neck, he was treated like an animal. But he didn't break. He waited. He watched. And one night, he escaped. That moment was the birth of Genghis Khan, the man who would teach the world what it meant to suffer. He built his empire not with gold or religion, but with loyalty and terror. He believed that loyalty was stronger than blood, and betrayal was the only unforgivable sin. His men followed him because they feared him, and because he promised them something greater than safety: power. He trained his army to move faster, hit harder, and destroy deeper than anyone had seen before. You think your boss is strict? Genghis Khan executed soldiers who fell asleep on duty. He rewarded bravery but crushed weakness. Under his rule, mercy was not a strategy, it was a weakness. But his true genius wasn't just in battle. It was in the way he used fear. He understood that fear spreads faster than armies. When his soldiers wiped out a city, he made sure a few survivors escaped, just enough to carry the horror to the next kingdom. He wanted enemies to surrender before the fight even began. And yet, as the Mongol hordes thundered across the plains, Genghis Khan's war wasn't just about victory. It was about revenge. Every city he burned, every man he executed, every woman he claimed. It was all part of his message to the world. I was born in pain, and now you will feel it too. Because soon, his war would move beyond the battlefield, into the homes and hearts of the people he conquered. What happened to the women of those defeated lands would define his legacy forever. The world had never seen an army like this. The Mongol warriors rode like ghosts, fast, silent, and merciless. They could travel hundreds of miles without stopping, carrying dried meat under their saddles and drinking horse blood when water ran out. Sounds extreme. For them it was normal, because under Genghis Khan, survival wasn't a choice. It was law. His army wasn't huge at first, but what they lacked in numbers, they made up for in fear. Every battle was a performance of horror. Villages that surrendered were spared. Those that resisted were erased from history. Their walls burned, their rivers filled with bodies. The message was simple: obey or vanish. They had no pity, no hesitation, and they followed orders with almost supernatural discipline. Before attacking a city, Genghis Khan would send scouts disguised as merchants. They'd study everything: walls, guards, food, even escape routes. When the time came, the Mongols struck with perfect precision. And when the dust settled, the silence was worse than the screams. Because Genghis Khan didn't just kill his enemies, he erased their future. Entire bloodlines ended in a single day. Men were executed, children sold, and women taken. He used destruction as language, a message that echoed across Asia. People didn't wait for the Mongols to arrive. They surrendered at the rumor of hoofbeats. You think modern war is psychological? Genghis Khan invented psychological warfare. But after the burning, after the screams faded, there was another kind of terror waiting. A quieter one that didn't end when the sword was sheathed. Because for the wives and daughters of his enemies, the real nightmare was only beginning. What happened behind the Mongol tents would change history forever. After the screams of war faded, silence filled the air. But it wasn't peace. For the women left behind, it was the beginning of something far worse. When Genghis Khan conquered a kingdom, the men were executed, and the women were claimed as part of his victory. To him and his warriors, wives and daughters weren't people. They were proof of conquest, symbols that their enemies had been erased from history. Royal women were the most prized. Some became forced brides or concubines. Others were enslaved or traded to seal alliances. Persian chroniclers wrote of queens who once commanded palaces, now serving the men who burned their homes. Chinese records spoke of entire royal families taken as spoils of war. For Genghis Khan, this was power in its purest, most brutal form. Domination not only of land, but of legacy. By taking their wives, he made sure no man, no bloodline, could ever rise against him again. And yet, there's a dark irony here. Inside his own empire, Mongol women were powerful. Genghis Khan believed that strength, not gender, earned respect. His wife Berta, once kidnapped and later rescued by him, became his most trusted advisor. His daughters ruled vast territories and commanded armies. While he destroyed the women of conquered lands, he elevated the women of his own, a contradiction history still struggles to explain. When Genghis Khan died in 1227, he left no monuments. He left blood. Studies show that nearly 1 in every 200 men alive today carries his Y chromosome. 16 million descendants, living echoes of one man's empire. His legacy wasn't carved in stone, it was written into human DNA. But behind that legacy lies centuries of pain. His story isn't just about conquest, it's about what happens when power goes unchecked. You can kill a man, but not the fear he leaves behind. Genghis Khan ruled through terror, and even today, his name still commands it. History reminds us, domination builds empires, but never peace. If this story gave you chills, watch my next video, The Power of Compounding. Because if fear built empires in the past, patience builds them today.